Roll call.
Parker, Miscelinich.
Here.
Olson.
Here.
Zittergruen. Jizzle. Whittle.
Here.
Neal.
Okay, time for public comment. Is there anybody who wishes to come before the council? Hearing, seeing none. Northeast Iowa Housing Trust Fund, Chris Trendle. Just step up and say your name and address.
Good evening. How are you guys tonight?
And just pull the mic down.
Better?
Thank you, that's
I'm a
better.
little short, you're right.
Well, and you can put the podium down, too.
Sure. All right. Well, my name is Chris Trundle. I'm with Upper Explorer Land, and I'm here to discuss the Northeast Iowa Regional Housing Trust Fund and the projects that we did last year through the other housing programs. So the first page that you have here that you're looking at, I compiled all the information from 2010, and looks like Decorah, the city of, has had about a little over $1 million spent through the trust fund to do housing programs here with just both down payments and rehab. I would assume most of that will be rehab work. This year alone, though, I was able to provide assistance up to, well, it was about $141,000 roughly thereof. So your investment that you had from the prior year has been greatly used. I will say, though, I do believe we could have done a lot more if I had more people out advocating here in the city of Decorah. I've had other cities, where they've utilized that more and potentially had more funding be used in those cities. And I can only tell so many people. I talk to, a ton of people, but, you guys know your town more than anybody.
And is that through, you mean people who could take advantage of it but weren't aware of it? Okay.
It could be a variety of things, yep,
Okay.
but that could be one of them, yeah.
Well, that'd
Yep,
be-
so maybe as the city crews are out and about, they may see something that, maybe this roof needs to be had and done or something, So you're your best advocates for that. But this last year, we did a repair program through the state. We did the trust fund, and then I got another federal home loan bank program, which we did a ton of work. It equaled out to almost $4 million when it's all said and done. Now I've got a home buyer program, first-time home buyer program to actually go with this. So that's up to like $32,000. I do have a few people that are looking at homes here in the city of Decorah, so that's a good thing. But like everywhere else, it's hard to find a home that's reasonable and not completely junk or not too expensive. So hopefully we'll be able to continue with those. Just got awarded another federal home loan bank program again this year. When I wrote it up the prior year for this year, included veterans with that. So that one will cover elderly, which anyone over the age of 62 is considered elderly for their program, disabled and or a veteran. So they'll have to, meet the criteria of income with that, but those are pretty good obstacles that, and some really good opportunity because it's like $22,570 is what can be spent on that, where the trust fund is $12,500. And then that last repair program was $35,000. So it's a mix of a lot of different things. I'm pretty surprised how well we're doing, but a lot of that is because of relationships that have been had. So it's going well that way. Another thing I would like to request from you guys, if at all possible, contractors. If you know of contractors that are interested in working for us, please send them my way. I have had probably close to 150 contractors, but between the ones that we have here and the ones that we have in Elmwood County, they're filling in everywhere in the 5 counties, especially Howard. So the more we have, the better we can cover and do more work. So Of that money that was spent out this last year, for about every $1 million that was spent, you got about 1.8 million on top of that back in some of your soft costs. So, you look at what you got, and, it's, especially when you look at contractors being used and going into other counties and other places, down payment assistance that may originate here in Decorah, which I did a number of them this year, or may, be from somewhere else, but they're buying here. Workers, there's a lot that goes into this that is, not known, insurance companies and it's tremendous, that return on investment and how it works. So again, I'm here to talk about the trust fund specifically, but you need to be aware that it kind of all intertwines, because that return on the investment on some of the loans, not everyone's forgivable, so some of those come back, at a 0%, 1%, or 2%, which goes into our revolving loan fund, which then I get these other grants to, on top of that to make more. So also, with the demo program, you guys had a really good project this last year with Sunflower that went through. So
Could you get just a little closer to the mic?
Yeah, sure.
Thank you.
So there's that too, which comes from the revolving loan fund, and I think we're about up for another housing study here very soon. So a lot of stuff to come. I have a tremendous list already of people who are looking for assistance. So even though I said, your best advocates to do that, just know that I do have a lot of people, but they all don't naturally fall in line, and they don't get everything to me, so I can't do them all, but we'll see how it all works out. So anyways, the second page kind of talks a little bit more in detail about everything, with some some pictures at the end of some of the projects, and it's pretty amazing the amount of work that we did this last year, and it's shaping up to look about the same for this coming year. So
Any questions from council people?
And I do apologize for not making it last time. I was sick, and I don't think
That's
anyone
okay.
else wanted to get sick.
We don't want you here if you're sick, so you're fine. Okay,
So I did leave you a pledge letter over there. Last year, I think you just pledged the 1 year, if I recall. I am asking and giving an opportunity for a 3-year commitment. It helps you guys budget, it helps me budget. The dollars that are spent, we have to have that match money in order to get the entirety of it. So something to think about. I've got most of our counties on board with that, most of the cities, and quite a few banks now. So we're definitely growing it and, doing some good stuff. But that commitment helps me budget, so.
and you, either one of you two have the request that he had? Okay. Okay, well, thank you very much.
All right, and if anybody has questions, especially hard ones they don't want to ask now, you're free to give me a holler or email me, however it works out. So all my information's on that packet. And I think there's extra ones, because I printed about 15 off, so. Yeah.
Chris,
Okay,
it might actually help too, if you're able to get us a stack of your cards, we could give them to Greg, our code compliance officer, so when he does drive by and sees that roof, he can actually give it to him. That might be a great way to get the word out more, if you could get
Absolutely.
those to us.
Sure, absolutely. Like I said, you're your best advocates, and I'll get some over here to you. And yep.
Thanks, Chris,
Okay,
for all you do.
thank
Yeah,
you.
Appreciate it. Yep.
Okay. Thanks, Chris.
okay. Northeast Iowa Community Action Corp., Tricia Wilkins.
Hi, everyone. Tricia Wilkins with Northeast Iowa Community Action Corporation. I have been here for the last several years, and we do have a funding request that we asked the city for, but I really do like to come and provide you with program information data, program impact data for the previous year to give you a better idea of what we're doing for Decorah residents here in the community as far as what our programs go. So I am in my 17th year with the agency, and I've been the CEO for about 7. We've talked about this every year, but pulling things out a little bit, our agency serves over 9,000 individuals each year with almost 3.3 million in services, financial assistance services in our 7-county service area. In Decorah, we have one family services office in the Smith Building off of Montgomery Street, in addition to the food pantry in that same location where customers can visit the pantry, when they're in need, and then apply for services, and then also to receive maybe some other agency referrals. So when we look at the data, and you'll be able to kind of follow along on the handout that I provided. So within the city of Decorah, Community Action served 337 individuals with over almost 177,000 of mostly federal funds going into the city. Please note, we have some database limitations. So the LAHEAP numbers you are going to see is going to be anybody with a Decorah address. So not within the city limits. Everything else will be those who are living within the city limits. So we're struggling with the state on being able to pull that report, but hopefully next year. We also employ 17 staff members who also reside in Decorah as well. Like I said, we're mostly federal funds. That's why I'll talk about it in a minute. This year was a little bit of a challenge, which I'm sure you could all guess. So we, for our total budget, run about 76 to 77% federal funds. The rest is state funds, city, local funds, donors, individual businesses, those who have always been so kind to support us. We do run short, and I always, whenever I have these discussions and provide these presentations, I do want to let our communities know that that is a significant amount of money that we do put into the economy of the city. Whether it's helping your neighbors and those who are struggling is one piece to it, but the other piece is really about working with local businesses, vendors, hotels, contractors, utilities, all of those that we provide those services to. So when we look at a few specifics for Decorah, for LAHEAP, we call it LAHEAP. It stands for Low Income Home Energy Assistance Program. I'm sure most are probably pretty aware of what this program does, but it is a federal program that provides financial assistance for a portion of home heating costs during the winter season. It also could include a repair or replacement of a non-working furnace. That is part of the federal program. We're in a busy period right now with our fiscal year 26. It started at the beginning of October. Last year's program concluded on April 30th, where we provided assistance to 223 households in those with the Decorah address, totaling 104,600. Keep in mind my earlier statement of the database issue. That's our biggest program that we provide. And then we move to like a crisis assistance. And these are emergency needs that can arise for families. It can include food from one of our pantries or financial assistance for utility disconnections, past due rent, car repairs, medication, transportation. This program does operate all year round, varies by county, but it's a locally funded program. So we have been fortunate in the past several years to be able to apply and receive community foundation grants. United Way has been very helpful. Those are all sources of funding that goes into our local crisis program. So Decorah community residents last year, we served 32 households totaling about $14,491 in support. Weatherization addresses health and safety in addition to energy efficiency improvements in residential homes. The work that we complete in our weatherization program, which is also a federal program, is often insulation, LED lighting, repair, replacement of furnaces or other non-working appliances. And then we have Head Start, our early childhood programs. We operate 10 classrooms. And that we have one classroom here in Decorah, one in Winneshiek County in the Sunflower. We're lucky enough to be able to have a classroom right in that facility, which our families and our staff love. It's such a nice facility. Head Start had a tough year. This year, we lost nearly $600,000 in state funds, and we used that to provide before and after school services to children and families within all of our 10 Head Start classrooms. And this is unrelated to the federal funding concerns that we had. It just happened to be where the state funds that were utilized for that are being used for something different. So that got pulled from the Head Start agencies in Iowa. So we are only able to offer school-to-school, bus-to-bus services in our Head Start classrooms. We no longer can do a 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. where families who were working or going to school could drop their children off early and pick them up late if they needed to be able to do that. So that was a bummer. We lost one staff from every classroom because that third person was what our Head Start or the WRAP services is what paid for that. So we're down to 2 staff in each classroom. So like I said, Head Start saw a challenging year. Public transit speaks for itself. We all know what that is, our Earl buses. We are open to the public, but we have in-town hours. We provide rides for school, Head Start children, dialysis, other essential needs. Sometimes families or individuals just need to go grab some groceries, run some errands. Something that we did that was a big part of a community initiative was in Almaquee County. We were able to have the opportunity to be a part of that public shuttle when the bridge had to close down. So we were providing a shuttle ride with our buses to the water taxi. In addition, we leased some of our vehicles out to the other side of the river to an organization in Wisconsin. So we were fortunate, and we're happy to be able to be a part of that solution for something that was a real community need at the time. In Transit's program year 25, there were over 53,000 total rides provided in Winnebago County. Most of those are going to be Decorah residents. That is like double of what our next county falls into. And it's because of our relationship that we have with Hometown Taxi. We are able to work with them, sort of an extension to our services, where seniors, individuals with disabilities, and the general public receive a little bit of a discount. We supplement some of that cost. The depot has supplemented some of that cost with them as well. And it makes a big difference, and it enables us to provide additional services above and beyond our buses and what we have available for drivers and buses. General assistance, we are contracted for the Winnebago County General Assistance. It's been a long, long time. I think it was the first county that we took on years ago before my time, and that has always worked very well. We're able to help those families who come in, and prior to using general assistance funds, we are oftentimes able to help them with some of the programs and services and funding that we already have available. And just a little bit of a note on the government shutdown and somewhat of the challenges we've had. To say this year has been a challenge for our agency is a complete understatement. And when you rely 75% of your funding on the federal government and you're not for sure what it's looking like, I know it's been really scary for our staff and our families who rely on our services. So Head Start, like I said, had a challenge this year. We were able to, as we know, start back up. I haven't seen this environment instability in my 17 years of working here, but with starting back up, we have received our fiscal year 26 contracts. LAHEAP has continued to go through. We're seeing some of that funding go through, and so we hope that we are back in business and continue to offer the services that we do for the area. As I said, we do have a funding request. We haven't changed this for a lot of years. It changes with the census. It's $1 per capita. So the adjustments that you will see will be based upon whenever that census data changes. As I know, budgets continue to be a challenge for all of our cities and counties, but as many agencies do, we do rely on the community support to be able to maintain the level of services that we provide in our area.
I cannot imagine
Yeah,
what
it was
the challenges you've had.
right.
It sounds like you're getting some of the grants for next year, for 2026.
Right. Yep.
And do you hope that that will be back to what it was before, or do you just kind of have to wait and see what?
Well, we know we're good till January 31st because that's the end of this continuing resolution.
Okay.
So we hope that they'll work things out. They'll get through it prior to that date. We all know we don't know 100% for sure, but our funding has been released, and it has the 90%, which is typically done in prior years, because LAHEAP is one of our biggest concerns because we're a small to mid-size agency, but when you serve 3,500 households in your 7 counties with an average of $400 to $500 per supplement, that adds up really, really quickly. And we owe that to our vendors, and they need that money as well in order to operate. So you're talking significant dollars that you can't just continue to sort of ride out with the local funds that you might have. So that was a big concern. So we did see the release of that, so that will help all agencies.
Good.
Other services and funding, it will depend upon what, those decisions that are made.
Yes.
So hopefully
Yes.
they'll get it done. It'll be okay.
Hopefully is correct.
Yeah.
Questions from council?
Just comment, I commend you guys for persevering through these hard times.
Thank
with,
you.
Fiscal responsibilities being as they are.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's hard to focus on your job when you're not knowing whether you're gonna have a job the next day and stuff like
Right.
that. So I commend you guys for the effort you guys do to keep all these programs going as best you can, because it's
Right.
a vital service that we need, so thank you.
Thank you. We are lucky to keep our staff as much as we can because we know that they have options and they're worried about their positions too. So, any other questions about the services or data?
No questions at the moment. I just want to echo, thank you for the work that you do, and I wish federal government cared as much about people as you folks do, and cared more about regular people than corporations. So thank you.
Thank you.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
City manager, department head, and council reports.
A couple items here. One, many of you have seen the nuisance snow removal bids we're soliciting for. Again, trying to get contractors to respond on an hourly rate they would charge for snow removal for nuisance properties. We did receive a bit of social media pushback. I want to assert that we don't usually deal with grandma or the disabled. Somebody usually takes care of grandma's property. What we tend to see are absent property owners or vacant properties these are habitual offenders that fail to remove snow. And we get called on them all the time. So that's what we're trying to remedy. I want to point out, met out with Wenatchee County Recycling and 2 supervisors and working on a temporary solution for the recycle bins when the school moves forward with their project. And I say temporary because a long-term solution is just hard to pin down at this point. But from a staff perspective, we've got a good short-term solution that I believe John and Andy are working on, just a short MOU. We're looking at a 2-year just to identify roles and responsibilities if we let them place the recycle bins on the far north end of the site, just north of the Army Reserve Center, where we still have 2 existing fence lines out there, or 3, all 3 sides are still fenced in. So that should be coming in front of council shortly.
On that, I happened to be here when you met with the county, and I was pleased to see that the county and the city were meeting here and just having a good discussion. That I hope perhaps maybe in the future that could be a way of working with communication with the county and the city, because I think it just seemed like a healthy discussion that you were having.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that meeting went really well. Next item, happy to report that Mark sent out a press release just earlier this afternoon. The Decorah Athletic Complex will now be known for the next 20 years as the Rowley Athletic Complex, with a $500,000 donation from Nick Rowley. So
Thank you very much.
We are about 100,000 short of a full build out of that site, which, you know, everybody in this room a year ago, I don't think ever intended or ever believed that we would be in this position at this time.
And you know, I historically, when I look back on the history of that land and that property and how that's come to fruition from when we first started previously, you know, I'm thrilled that that has come to that point, and I really appreciate Raleigh's donation to that extent.
Yes. And final item, I do want to acknowledge that Mayor Borowski, Councilmember Olson, as your last meeting for, you know, this year. I mean, there's maybe a round 2 in the future, but I do want to thank you for your leadership. It's been a privilege to serve as city manager under your leadership.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you.
That's all I have.
Okay, Carrie.
Nothing tonight, Mayor.
All right. Consent agenda. Oops.
The council get to just say anything?
Well, we're going to be saying something at the end of the meeting.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay.
Fine.
Yeah.
Yeah. Consent agenda.
Okay. Item A, minutes of the November 24th, 2025 work sessions. There are 2 of those in there. And December 1st, 2025 council meeting. B, claims. C, Mabe's Pizza Special Class C Retail Alcohol License Ownership Amendment. D, Casey's Class E Retail Alcohol License Ownership Amendment. E, Don Jose Mexican Restaurant Class E Retail Alcohol License Ownership Amendment. F, Quick Trip Class E Retail Alcohol License Ownership Amendment. G, Quick Trip Class E Retail Alcohol License Ownership Amendment. And H, Hotel Winnesheet Class C Retail Alcohol License Renewal with Outdoor Service and Catering. All those amendments might note ABD just went through a license changeover, so I don't think they all sold to each other. So it's a software change for the requiring those actions. Item I, Cops and Rodders Special Event Permit Application. J, resolution transferring funds to the Hively Street Capital Improvements Fund. K, resolution set public hearing on Decorah 2025 Hively Street Improvements Project. L, pay application number 6, Carlson Park Gateway Trail Project. M, pay application number 1 for the Decorah Wastewater Treatment Plant Improvements Project. N, resolution approving Airport Capital Improvement Plan. O, pay application number 7 for 2025 Hively Street Improvement Project. P, change order number 3 for 2025 Hively Street Improvement Project. Q, WHKS 2026 Bridge Inspection Contract. And R, resolution approving Community Attraction and Tourism CAT Grant Agreement.
Motion to approve this very lengthy consent agenda.
Just real quick, for K, you said 2025. It's 2026 on the consent agenda. Is that?
Oh, I read it as 25. It should be 26.
Okay, yeah.
Setting public hearing on the 26th.
I'd second the motion.
Motion made by Olson, seconded by Chisel. Any further discussion? Okay. Mm-hmm. I appreciate that comment, and just as a reminder that that has been the case in past years as well, so. Okay, roll call?
Olson,
Aye.
Chisel,
Aye.
Ms. Linich,
Aye.
Zittergruen, Whittle.
Aye.
That's
Okay.
everyone, right? Everybody else missed.
Motion carried. Consider resolution permitting semi-trailer and semi-tractor parking on Military Boulevard. Can you give a background on that, please?
Sure. So council recently approved ordinance 1350, which allows the council to authorize semi-trailer and semi-tractor parking by resolution. Otherwise, it is a blanket prohibition across the entire city limits. So the proposed resolution would allow parking on Military Boulevard between Park Street to the east and then Trout Run Trail crossing to the west. Staff would then place signs to indicate parking is allowed. And as drafted, this is important to note, So as it's drafted, the resolution would require a permit to be obtained by city manager or their designee, which in this discussion would be Country Inn and Suites. So this would be handled similar to the Hotel Wynn in North Alley. If council does not want to require a permit, then a motion should be made that omits item 3 from the proposed resolution, and they would just be permitted, or excuse me, parking would be permissible without a permit displayed.
That's along the street going up from Country Inn up to the VA clinic, correct?
Correct.
So you want a motion made with the permit in there or out of there, one of the two?
One of the two.
Okay, I will make a motion to approve it with the permit having to be obtained.
I'll second.
Motion made by Olson, seconded by Muselinich. Discussion?
Only issue Steve, the only issue I can see, excuse me, would be, this would be the customers of Country Inn that are staying there. They would get it at the front desk when they check in and then give it back when they check out, rather than just some random parking along there.
Right, that was kind of my thought on it too, that we'd at least be able to maintain some sort of control over it by virtue of them issuing permits only to the people they want to. So we don't get too many people requesting.
And where I would probably agree with you on this, Stephen, about not creating an administrative burden any further, I made sure to put or designee in there because my involvement's going to be minimal. But I could very much also see Bluffside Gardens, for example, reaching out and saying, hey, we every once in a while would get an over-the-road driver. I'd like to have them park there if possible. I could issue them, I could have let them be my designee as well to issue a permit. And so along those lines, it would at least ensure that it's somebody staying in a lodging that's somewhere in the area, not necessarily, I'm parking my semi and trailer there while I'm home for a couple of days and just leaving it sit there.
Okay, further just.
Yep.
Okay, roll call.
Olson,
Aye.
Muselinich,
Aye.
Zittergruen, Chisel,
Aye.
Whittle.
Aye.
Motion carried. Consider resolution approving pre-construction agreement with the Iowa DOT regarding rock blasting and water main casing in conjunction with the Highway 9 improvement project. Can you give background on that, please?
So council's discussed this a couple of times and determined that including rock blasting and installation of water main casing in conjunction with the DOT's Highway 9 project for 2026 is desired. So the DOT requires an agreement that the city agrees to pay the actual costs bid for these additional components of the project. Those are estimated at $306,100. That's what's in the contract, and it says the actual costs, this is what's estimated. Previously, it was discussed that the Iowa DOT would carry these costs and the city would be able to repay over 2 fiscal years. However, the proposed agreement allows for actually 3 years for repayment. So it would be about $100,000 over the next 3 fiscal years.
I'd move for approval of the resolution.
Second.
Motion made by Chisel, seconded by Whittle to approve the motion. Discussion?
That be the city's call to make whether they want to do it over 2 or 3 years? Would that be our call on that, or who?
You know, if we have funds to do it over 2 years, I'm sure we certainly could, but, you know, 100,000 interest isn't nothing anymore, so it'd probably be advantageous to hold on to it that third year.
Sure.
Roll call?
Jizzle,
Aye.
Whittle,
Aye.
Missa Lynch.
Aye.
Olson,
Aye.
Zittergrun.
Just, yep, I did. I was just looking down. I started to read the same one, so I was moving down the line. Discussion and possible action on an ordinance amending chapter 12.44 of the Decorah Municipal Code regarding snow and ice accumulation.
Okay, so this is listed on the agenda as a discussion and possible action because this is the first time council's seen this draft amendment, but it does allow for a possible action if you want to approve it as a first reading. So the drafted resolution, largely the only change proposed in this is an additional $20 administrative fee for those that fail to abate nuisance snow and ice, and we need to go out and hire a contractor to remove that for them. Other than that, the 24 hours requirement for removing snow and ice, and then once posted, 24 hours additionally before the city can go ahead and abate anyway, that's already in existing code. The other provision that this actually allows is, we'll call it a due process requirement, where if somebody does fail to shovel their snow, we post, they don't fix it, we hire a contractor takes care of it, and we send them a bill. They will be provided, along with the bill, notice that they can appear in front of council and appeal, I guess would be the word I'd use, that they didn't shovel their snow and they didn't shovel it after we asked them to shovel it, and so we had to hire somebody to do it, that they shouldn't have to pay the bill. They could appeal that, I guess. And so logistically, what we would do, imagine I received a bill today, along with it, today's December 15th, it would say, if you wish to appeal this, you may show up to the city council meeting on January 5th, and we'll have an agenda item, just like public comment, that right after it says snow and ice appeals, and if somebody feels that they were wronged in this, they could show up and plead their case.
Approximately how many have you seen violate this ordinance, would you say, per snowfall, say?
How many have I seen, or how many have we been able to pursue effectively?
Pursue effectively, I guess. Or do we get complaints? on it?
Let's see. You wouldn't happen to know off the top of your head, would you? I will say that the amount we're able to pursue effectively versus the amount that happens is pretty minimal. 10% maybe. We are very much complaint-based, I will say that. So typically it's as the complaints come in, then we make contact with the individual property, post, follow up after 24 hours have lapsed, and then that's when we get into this little bit of murky area of, yes, we have the ability to abate and then send them the bill. But this is meant to help bolster that argument that we can go ahead and remove the snow, send you the bill, and you fail to do it, we're gonna put it as a tax assessment on your taxes. I'd hate to ballpark a number, but I am gonna throw one out. I bet it's maybe only 20 properties a year.
20 properties per year,
But
not per
there are
snowfall, but-
several that are routine.
And they're repeat offenders quite
Correct,
often?
yeah.
Okay, yeah,
And that 20 might even be a stretch.
okay.
I mean, I walk 3 blocks to work and I cross more than one property per block of snowpack that's now a sheet ice.
Yeah.
And grandma doesn't live in any of them.
What's the council proof?
I think it sounds good.
Okay, then I'm looking for,
I was gonna say, I've talked with Mike about this different times too, you know, because some of them have narrower boulevards where we try and dump the snow. So you can go ahead and clean your sidewalk one time, and then when the street guys come by to widen the streets out, they flip it back up onto your sidewalk. Are we gonna hold them responsible to clean it the second time when we filled it back in?
You mean they're doing it to other people besides me?
Well,
That's good. I
I'm
thought
just
they were
asking, because when it comes off the street,
Yeah.
it's got the melt and the salt, which creates snow and ice buildup, which is very difficult to remove for
Yeah.
some. And once you've cleaned it, in some cases, I'm gonna pick on myself, because we've got a very long sidewalk. It's a bitch.
Yeah. My comment was relief, because I thought they just didn't like me and were doing it to me. So it's a relief to hear they're doing it to other people too. So all jokes aside, there are a few what we would call California curb, where the sidewalk is
Yep.
right up behind the curb. There are some areas around town that have that we are adjusting our snow removal to, so we don't do that. But inevitably, larger snowfalls, as that boulevard continues to get additional crumb roll on it, it's gonna happen on occasion. But yes, it is the adjacent property owner's responsibility to remove that. But again, in these California curb examples, we are adjusting our snow removal to try and minimize that.
Okay.
And actually, I believe I covered it in background, but I glossed over it in discussion here. So this also applies to, if you are, I think, Randy, you brought up at the last meeting, the properties that push snow into the right-of-way that don't have a snow removal agreement in place. This also applies, so that if, after the city does its snow removal operations and somebody pushes snow into the city street, we can actually potentially hire a contractor to come in and remove that, assess a $20 fee, and then bill the adjacent, bill that property.
Well, it's not even if they don't have the fee to push it in, it's if they push it in after the fact, so we're making even more overtime sending it back.
Yep.
Crews.
And the same would apply.
Okay. I would move for approval of the first reading.
I will second that.
Motion made by Chisel, seconded by Olson for the first reading. Any further discussion?
I think when Travis brought up the idea that many of these people are repeat offenders, that it happens over and over and over again, I think it's imperative we do something like this so we maybe get their attention that this is a necessary thing, and part of being a homeowner is to clear your properties off, so I think it's a good idea.
Okay. Roll call?
Chisel,
Aye.
Olson,
Aye.
Whittle,
Aye.
Miscelinich,
Aye.
Zittergren.
Motion carried. Discussion on the former Fox and Coon property and development agreement with 3 Chick Rentals LLC. You want to give some background on that, please?
Yes, so no actions needed on this, but wanted to have conversation as this deadline is. Depending on which deadline date you use, it's either coming up next spring or we did do an amendment in 2023, which I would argue pushes out 5 years from that amendment. But we should still get this on the radar. So the city of Decorah entered into a development agreement with 3 Chicks Rental LLC, and subsequent amendment that was approved in April of 2023. They required the developer to submit and obtain approval of a site plan prior to November 21st, 2023. Developer failed to meet that requirement, acknowledges they will not be developing the property. We have 5 years after the term of the development agreement to purchase the property back for the original price, less the city's incurred expenses, and that is for the reacquisition. The net proceeds from the sale have been kept in a separate fund, has a balance of $375,000, $376,000 roughly, and about $475,000 was received at closing for the payment. The difference there of $117,000 was the cost the city had to pay the Fox and Coon Club for termination of the lease for the value of the building on the site. Largely, this is on for discussion as we're preparing the budget. And, we're doing a lot of the groundwork for the budget for fiscal '27 and wanting to gauge council's desire on including this for to purchase property back.
I know when this came up originally, there was a lot of discussion on selling that piece of property. Randy would probably remember that.
I was
Man, a
happy-
few words.
I was happy to get rid of it because it's a very difficult property to develop, so.
Well, that's true, although it is property. So, but are you looking for any kind, what could be clear for the council to be able to evaluate whether this would
Yeah, looking
purchase
for
okay.
general discussion and consensus building so that if it is the council's desire. So obviously next month we're going to have 2 new council members, but only one of those votes. So if we have general consensus, we're going to make sure to include it in the fiscal '27 budget. If not, likely we'll talk about it again next month and see if maybe Councilmember Olson, if he's replaced it, it's a different opinion. I don't know. But no action will be taken as a result of this item. It's
Yeah.
just so we know whether to include it for budget in fiscal '27.
So it's alerting the council to look a little harder at this item to figure out if they want to include it or not.
And if Yep. So Steve, that difference of 117,000 or 100,000 roughly includes 117,000 that was paid out of that fund to terminate the lease with the Fox and Coon Club. That was the assessed value determined of the building they had on the site.
The only thing I'll throw into the discussion is when I first reached out to Representative Hinson's office in regards to the Army Reserve Center over here, I was kind of just throwing everything I possibly could at the wall to get their attention to see if there's anything that could be done for us to regain that 5 acres of property. And this was one of the things I mentioned in there, which potentially that could be something they could utilize that property out there in lieu of this 5 acres here. Now, that didn't come up in the discussion of whether that pushed them over the top to give us these 2 acres back or not like that, but I just wanted to point that out, that was part of the proposal I threw out there at them. Obviously, I couldn't promise them that land at that time, but I proposed that as a possible future site if they would be interested in doing that.
When you were talking to them, did they say anything one way or the other about the potential of a
No, that
different
wasn't.
property?
They were having discussions at that time with all the Army Reserve Centers around the country. There was a big meeting they were having, and that was the only thing that got us to the point where we got those 2 acres back at that point in time. But this never came up in it, but I did throw that out there as one of the potential sites that they could possibly utilize.
That's your call.
Sure, if you come up here and state your name and address.
I'm Kelly Batchelder.
No, come up and say it in the microphone.
Sorry, I'm Kelly Batchelder. I own this property. So, my question is has anything changed with the retention ponds with the stormwater? That's what led me to not develop it to begin with. So, that had changed between when I purchased it and after the purchase. So, I guess that's my biggest question. And that can be answered later. I just that's one thing that needs to be discussed, obviously.
We're checking real quick on the original adoption of the stormwater ordinance. I do think it was prior to the sale of this, which has since been amended because the state reduced them.
Yep. I had never asked that question, and it had come up in talking to Jeremy Thompson the other day. I said, well, I should probably ask that question.
No, it's definitely something to
Yeah.
consider. And perhaps you might not be able to answer that tonight, or,
No, should be able to. It's-
okay.
Just got to get the right chapter. Stormwater management, 1340. 2016. Does that look right?
No, there was, because of this,
Seems,
I think 2016 might be, been,
Is that
I feel
the-
like we adopted something more recently, and then the state changed the law.
Okay.
I want to say it was
is that right?
2021, maybe?
Right there. That one?
Oh, 2021.
Yep.
Seems to me like there was something kind of right when
Yep.
Chad left and you came in, Travis. There was something right in that
So
period.
it was around the time you
Yeah, it seems like
purchased,
yeah.
you purchased it.
Yeah. So that I guess was my biggest question, is if there was a change to that, just because of the significance of the cost, is why I'm asking.
So yeah, there has been a change. There was one in 21 here, looks like April of 21. And then we just had to update it last year as a result of state legislation that reduced the requirements.
Okay.
For the site out there, the only real change would have been the runoff, the number of years that you'd have to control the runoff. The pre versus post requirement, or the definition of it, should still be pretty much the same, because it's currently a lot of impervious surface area.
Okay. That was
You'd have a smaller cell size needed because you wouldn't have to retain as much water.
if I email you, can you get that to me? Perfect. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Well, that'll be something to make sure we've got straightened around when we consider it one way or the other. Any other further questions, discussion? Okay. Board and commission vacancies. One vacancy on the Decorah Human Rights Commission. Upcoming board expirations, Tree Board, Planning and Zoning Commission, additional Human Rights Commission, and you're going to be working with Mayor Carlson in
Yeah,
January.
We'll call him Mayor-elect for the time being. but yes, Mayor-elect Carlson wanted to put this on the agenda so that come January 1, he's got a number of appointments that he needs to make in Tree Board, Planning and Zoning, as well as some additional human rights positions are up January 1.
I just want to let him practice it.
Gotcha.
Okay. Before, both Kirsten and I are just making small comments. Do you want us to make comments, or does the council want to make their comments?
I'll let you go last. Get your last hurrahs. But I have nothing this evening, Mayor.
Okay.
And this is a revisit of the council comments from the beginning? Okay.
Yeah.
Other than thank you.
I have a few things.
Okay.
I want to,
Make sure you're speaking in the mic.
both the speakers left, I was going to thank them for speaking. Recently, I went to an event of a panel of local co-op groups spoke and explained their different their co-ops and the impacts that they have on the community. Present were Hometown Taxi, Humble Hands, and the Food Co-op. And I learned so much about all that they offer. In particular, I learned a lot about Hometown Taxi, and all three of these co-ops are beneficial to the community, and I just really appreciate our community having things like this, and it's a very fair system for everyone involved, so I really appreciate that. I want to offer props to staff for the snow removal. This is the first real feeling winter we've had in a few years, and I appreciate the work that they put in to keep things clear. I myself love winter, so I'm happy to see it back, but I understand how much work it must go into it, so I appreciate that. Also, it's been said before, but I want to thank John for all the work that he put in on the Hively project. It's been really fun walking, driving and walking Hively, and it's really kind of made me feel good about being part of that process, and I didn't do anywhere near the amount of work that John did, so I appreciate that. That's an understatement, but and then to Mayor Borowski and Kirsten Olson, I've just really enjoyed working with both of you and getting to know you very well, or getting to know you more, and I just find you both to be very interesting people, and it's just been a pleasure to get to know you and work with you for this time. I got an email today also. This is gonna end my comments on kind of a negative note after a positive note there, but I got an email from someone today talking about 3 different deer situations that they've had, and 2 of them happened to this person's mom. The first thing was a deer with an arrow in it, was at her place, ended up walking away. The second thing was a dying deer that, as of today, is still dying in her yard, and it's been a very traumatic situation for this poor person. And then another instance was a deer with an arrow in it on the west side that's dead in town, no longer there, but happened. And I find this to be kind of a unacceptable thing that we're having this happen. I realize that we have hunting available in town, And I understand that a lot of people find that Decorah has a deer problem. I have always been of the mindset that we have a habitat loss problem. And so I don't know what kind of answers or solutions we have to this, but I just wanted to vocalize this for these poor people that have had to deal with such a awful situation. So I just wanted to speak on behalf of them for this, and feel that we need to have some kind of a solution for this going forward. But that's all.
If there are dead deer in town, is there something that the city does?
So if it's in city right away,
Yeah.
yep, you can call this, well, generally speaking, call dispatch as regardless, that, call the business line. I
Damn.
don't have the number off the top of my head, but call the business line for dispatch. Largely, if it's dead, they'll call the street department. If it's alive, they'll call the police department.
Okay. What about if it's on private property?
Well, if it's alive, chase it away, or don't. That's up to you. But if it's dead, we'll try and do as much as we can to assist
Yeah.
property owners, but know that we are also supposed to be limited as to doing work on private property as well.
Damn. So it'd be a matter of at least passing on,
We'll try and help as much.
I was gonna say, at least passing on information on how they can have it disposed. I mean, is there a business that,
It's not a business. We gotta go to the landfill, don't we? Landfill.
okay. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Christopher,
Yeah. I guess I'm not quite done. If someone has a deer that's dying for days in their yard, what's the best
PD.
thing for them to do?
Call PD.
Okay. I'm done.
that's a viable option. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
I might add, just, I know we received appointing Scott Herman's, Assistant Chief Herman's in the back. Last year, actually, or maybe it's been 2 years, we had one deer that was just acting very strange within this downtown area and into the flat, was chasing people and their dogs, and, you know, actually.
I do
Councilmember
remember
Hadley
that.
Talked about it at a council meeting where it went after his chihuahua. But, yeah, in those situations, call PD, they'll address them.
Okay. Christopher.
Yeah, so I just really want to kind of echo on the sentiments that have already been shared, and just say, you know, I've known Lorraine most of my life, and, you know, I truly appreciated getting the opportunity to work alongside you in this capacity, and I really wish you all the best with what comes next. I'm sure I'll still see you around. I also want to take a second to also say thank you to Councilmember Olson. I just really want to say you've been a tremendous asset to myself, both personally and professionally, when I decided to run in this capacity and continuing after I was elected. Just really being a sounding board and a point of conversation when it comes to a lot of things. And I know I'm not the only person that you do that for, so that's something that I tremendously appreciate and will, maybe potentially continue to use. So, but I just wanted to say that. So that is all I have tonight.
Okay. Steve Zittergruen, with his warmer looking environment. You want to go first?
Sure. Thanks for all the kind comments, everybody. Surely appreciated. Let me touch on a couple of things that I did over the last couple of weeks. Hotel motel marketing meeting I had last week. Direct visitor spending for Winnebago County. I won't get into all the numbers they shared with us, but it came out to a total of $45.9 million in 2024 that was spent in Winnebago County and Decorah around here in this area, which shows you how much Decorah is a sought-after place to come visit and how many people come here and spend their money and how important it is to keep that going. So big commendations to Jessica, Alyssa, Stephanie, Amanda, and all the people down there at the Chamber of Commerce staff and the Winnebago County Development for all the good work they do in promoting this city and bringing visitors into the area. The visitor center alone, we have a sign-in sheet there for people as they come into the visitor center. And just over the course of the summer, which probably ran May through September, we had people come from 30-plus states as well as 11-plus countries. So people are coming from all over the country, but also all over the world to come to Decorah, which is a great thing. Had a Decorah jobs meeting. We spent an hour and a half discussing the old Sunflower Daycare site. Current plans call for anywhere from like 18 to 24 units being built on that. We had a really, really good discussion with a lot of people putting input into it. I think they may even consider doing a more denser use of that area so we can maybe even squeeze more sites into that, and hopefully we'll be able to address some of the housing for people that have moderate incomes that Decorah affords them to have, but we'll be able to provide housing for them. So I think that's a good thing. Christmas parade, I participated in that Friday night. It was a very chilly night. Assistant Chief Herman provided some of our security for it. Appreciate that for what you guys did. We had a pretty good turnout for the amount of cold weather that we had that night. I think there was 30-plus floats that participated. There was a lot of kids, and I think it was well attended, so it was a really good thing. Just in closing, since it's my final meeting, it's been an honor and a privilege to serve with each and every one of you here in Decorah. I know I've said it many times before, but I think this staff of department heads and the staff that Decorah has, I would put them up against any staff anywhere in this country, and I think we'll have one of the best staffs there is. I mean, the amount of work you guys put in and the dedication you show, it's been a tremendous privilege to work with you guys in doing that. I've had the enjoyment of having 38 years of public service, from the U.S. Army to the Winnebago County Sheriff's Department to the U.S. Postal Service, and now 4 years with the City Council. And the hardest thing always when you leave one of those places is the people that you had a chance to work with. And like I said before, the people that I've had a chance to work with in these 4 years here has been a tremendous opportunity to work with each and every one of you. As far as the council itself goes, we've done a lot in the last 4 years, and I think that's commendable for the amount of stuff we've got accomplished. Hopefully it'll be things that will live on for years to come in our community. I think the best thing I've seen with this city council and the way they've been able to work together is we haven't been in agreement on everything we have that comes up on our agenda, but when we get to that time where we have a vote, even if it's a 4-3 vote and you were on the losing side of that vote, we didn't hesitate then to move on. If that was item number 10 on the agenda, we moved on to item number 11 without any hard feelings, any personal feelings involved in it. We moved on to the next item and did the best thing we could for the city of Decorah. I think that's commendable, and in a way that's kind of a sad comment because that shouldn't be commendable. That should be how government works. And I hope we've set an example for people of how government should work, because I think we've done that job in the last 4 years that I've been on here. With all that being said, I have thoroughly enjoyed the 4 years I've spent here on this, and I would like to encourage all of my fellow citizens in Decorah, if you've ever thought about running for city council, serving on one of their boards or commissions, please give it some serious consideration. It'll be something you'll enjoy for the rest of your life that you can say you've done. It'll be an enjoyable experience, and you won't regret it for a minute. If you want any questions asked about how to go about doing it, I'll be glad to answer anybody's questions. Feel free to contact me. But I would encourage everybody to try to step up and learn how government works, because I think it's important for everybody to know that. It's been a joy and privilege serving with you, Mayor, and I'll turn it over to you and let you say your final words.
I think you did a great job of saying probably what I think too. It's not often, you know, I have so much gratitude for the career that I chose, for the path that it led me on, and for all of the people that I have gotten to know. I've always loved the community. I continue to love the community. And I have really appreciated being mayor and representing the town at all the different things that I've been exposed to. All the staff throughout that I've gotten to know. I support every one of you all the time. And I think that where I've gotten to a point now where I'm ready to look to see what the next piece of my journey is. I'm excited about that potential, and I'm excited about not having a job to think that I have to go to. Now, on the other hand, this person, he's not done yet, I don't think. So, you know, we encourage when you're looking for people to step up, you may not have to look too far. But I'm excited and I'm grateful for being able to be in this position. And with that, I will call for an adjournment. So moved.